In a world overrun with the fake, delusional, and disingenuous, he stands as a beacon of truth. He is Abuki Cabal. You are listening to Abuki Cabal.
Welcome to the Abuki Cabal Show.
What's going on, everybody? Wanted to ask you guys a quick favor before we get started. If you could, if you're at least gonna watch the content, if you could at least hit the like button so that the algorithm can, kick me out there so that more people can see me. I'd appreciate that. I've got, thousands of views, but only a few likes on the content. And, it's not helping me out much. I really appreciate it though. If you guys would at least, if you take a moment, to look at the content and to enjoy the content, I'd appreciate it if you could just hit the like and the share button. I appreciate that. I really do. Thanks for all the folks who have given donations to help out with the presentation and with the show. Appreciate Dr. T. Hassan for checking me out and critiquing my work. I appreciate that a lot. Hope I can get Green Gorilla to come over and check out my show on the Lifetime fiasco that they call a network. But other than that, let's get on with it. So we have yet another anti-vaccine person who has reaped what they've sown. Anti-vaccine doctor who called mask wearing dangerous dies of COVID-19. If the tattoo is well thought, never mind. I don't think that has anything to do with that. Sorry about that. Should have cut that off. Anyway, yeah. So this individual, if you remember, I covered him a little while back, and he lost his license because he was saying that wearing masks was dangerous and causing people to inhale carbon dioxide. His medical board took his license, and he was no longer able to practice. He was not distributing information to prevent people from getting ill, and doing everything he could to kind of thwart the process. So, like I said, yet another one has died due to the effects of misinformation and just falling prey to it. You guys got to be careful about this propaganda out here for political purposes. It has nothing to do with science, nothing to do with medicine, and it could very well cause you or someone that you know cause them to be sick or cause them to lose their lives, unfortunately. Okay, the other story that I was going to cover here is that it was Washington State. Senator Doug Erickson, who has been fighting vaccine mandates, is stranded in El Salvador with COVID and cannot get home. So the story there indicated that he tested positive for COVID, and he is quarantined in the country. He cannot leave. And apparently it's pretty bad because he's begging for his fellow Republicans to send him monoclonal antibodies down to help treat him. And I'll keep an eye on this one. But it sounds pretty bad for him. And the third story deals with unvaccinated Texans, 40 times as likely to die of COVID as those fully vaccinated in 2021. Okay, we're going to look into that a little bit. Okay. Here's the anti-vaccine doctor and his story. Dr. Christopher Foley, who criticized mask wearing and spread false information about COVID-19 vaccine, passed away from complications of the virus. The Minnesota doctor pushed against continued use of masks, writing on his company website that they are downright dangerous if worn for extended periods of time. He was also critical of the vaccine, called it a human experiment, and advocated for the widespread use of ivermectin and vitamins to cure COVID-19. Foley's obituary said he passed away from an unexpected illness, but his son Logan Foley confirmed at his funeral that his death was the result of complications from COVID. Was he vaccinated? No, he was not, Logan said. If he'd only been vaccinated, wouldn't he still be here? Obviously, we'll never know. Logan questioned how his father, a mountain of a man who had never been sick a day in his life, could suddenly pass away just after talking on the phone with his son. He chalked it up to his father being so busy taking care of the rest of us that he didn't leave time for himself. Okay. After 22 years working in the medical system as a physician and internist, Foley founded Minnesota's natural medicine and became a natural medicine doctor. The doctor started to post on his practice's website about COVID-19 in March 2020, where he asserted that the virus was like a bioweapon and suggested a homeopathy and alternative medicine practice could be one of the better options or better weapons for fighting COVID-19. Foley criticized experts for not pushing the use of vitamin D and other nutrients, as well as not promoting ivermectin as a treatment. Okay, I've covered these in the past: vitamin D, vitamin C, all these immune boosters. None of those things were found to have any efficacy in treating COVID-19, and I posted the papers on some of my earlier content to show where they tested and found it gave no positive effects for that. Neither has ivermectin yet. You still have people out here promoting it. Joe Rogan's still promoting it. He was on with Dr. Sanjay Gupta. And I really hate that interview because I wish Dr. Sanjay would have stepped up. I mean, we would have, stood up for himself. He looked very weak on that interview and didn't stand up for what he knew. And I've seen him do better. So he allowed someone who is not trained to effectively make him look stupid. But that's another story. I may have to do something on that as well. If one simply adds the benefits of the vitamin D and other micronutrients that we know prevent morbidity or serious illness with this Wuhan virus to the effect of ivermectin and carrageenan, all easily obtained and inexpensive, why would anyone fear going about their business even in a high-density risk environment, Foley wrote. Ivermectin is approved for fighting parasites and has been studied as a potential treatment for COVID-19. While there is anecdotal evidence of it having success in some cases, studies have been plagued with flaws, and the drug hasn't shown widespread success in the world. The Food and Drug Administration has not approved it as a treatment for COVID-19, and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention does not recommend its use. So when Joe Rogan says, "Oh, it's been proven, it's been used on human beings," but it was used on human beings for what? For anti-parasitic effects, not for antiviral effects. So if you're using it for something that it is not approved for in human use, then you are effectively using a animal treatment, because it can be used on animals and humans. But if you're not using it for what it's supposed to be used for on humans, then, I think it's fair for people to say that he's using a horse dewormer to treat COVID based on no evidence. And as much as he tries to make it look like he's smart about this, he's not. He just put out another story saying that because nurses aren't aspirating once they insert the needle, that they're not giving the vaccine appropriately, and thus are putting all these people's lives in danger. He doesn't know what he's talking about, because that's an old method that was taught in nursing and medicine to aspirate, to see if you're, in a vein or whatever the case may be, to see if you're getting any kind of flash of blood. And if that's the case, you're supposed to pull out and then choose another injection site. However, this is not, that's not recommended anymore. But he's out here saying things like as if he's a nurse, or as if he's he's a physician or something. He's trying to tell all these people, which he has all these millions of followers out here, how to do a job that he's not trained to do. So, again, be careful with people who are out here trying to inform you about things that they don't know anything about. If he did have COVID and he treated himself and he got over it, hey, good for him. But he doesn't know what worked for him and what didn't work. He took everything. So if you take everything, then how do you know what works? There's no way for you to know what helped you and what didn't. If you take Tylenol and every other pill that you have in the cabinet, for a headache, but you've never taken it for a headache before, and then your headache goes away, it could have went away just on its own, or it could have went away with a combination of all those things, or it could have just been one of those things. But you'll never know, because you messed up the way that you would be able to isolate what cures what. Hope I explained that, appropriately, or in an easy way, rather. Let's move on. Okay. And other blogs fully call the vaccine a human experiment and criticize lockdowns for causing breathtaking damage to businesses, economy, and children's education, none of which should be important to a doctor. The doctor also railed against wearing masks, calling it unnecessary and useless, and said they cause more harm than good for people who wear them while exercising. Well, there's an extensive study that was done during the virus outbreaks in China, where they did extensive research into mask wearing and even some of the break-in. We were breaking out from wearing the mask, having this acne. All of that was done, and none of this stuff was indicated in that study. And that was years back, and those people were still wearing masks up to the point to where the virus in Wuhan emerged. So again, I just don't understand how somebody who had a medical education was so profoundly incorrect about a lot of things and spread that incorrect information to other people. Wow. So after his death, multiple people posted tributes to the doctor on Facebook, crediting him with helping to heal them and their families from various ailments. One woman said he saved the lives of herself, her husband, and her father, while acknowledging his father's beliefs about COVID-19 prevention methods, treatments, and the vaccine. Logan Foley said his father helped successfully treat over 50 people for COVID and spent countless hours researching the virus. Okay. He might have treated them, but I mean, treating them and treating them effectively is two different things. You can go rub, bark sap on somebody and you can call that treatment, but is that an effective treatment? No. Okay. So if you had to do it over again, would he do it differently? He said he knew the risk on both sides better than anybody, and he played his hand. Some of Foley's blog posts waded into the debate about government intervention with public health. His son touched on the subject during his speech at the funeral, saying his father had a deep sense of love for his country and that individual liberty coursed through his veins. Rachel Moran, a postdoctoral scholar of the University of Washington Center for an Informed Public, told NPR News that vocal opposition to vaccines from doctors can be particularly harmful to the vaccination effort. If you go online and find a medical professional who aligns with your political views about mask or vaccine mandates and offers up seemingly legitimate medical advice, that's going to cement your vaccine hesitancy. It's not going to provide you with the information that you need to make a sound decision, she said. And I totally agree. And that's what I've been telling you guys since I've been doing this. You cannot fall prey to these snake oil salesmen out here, these people who are just trying to basically give you something that's sweet to your ear and sour to your stomach. Don't do it. So let's go on over to the other part of the story. And that is about the state data of unvaccinated Texans make up a vast majority of the COVID-19 cases and deaths this year. Okay. New data from the Texas Health Department released Monday provides what health officials have been trying to tell vaccine hesitant Texans for months. The COVID-19 vaccine dramatically prevents death and is the best tool to prevent transmission of the deadly virus. Out of nearly 29,000 Texans who have died from COVID-related illness since mid-January, only 8% of them were fully vaccinated against the virus, according to a report detailing the Texas Department of State Health Services findings, and more than a half of those deaths among the vaccinated people were among Texans older than 75, the age group that is most vulnerable to the virus, the study shows. We've known for a while that vaccines were going to have a protective effect on a large segment of the population, said Dr. Jennifer A. Shuford, state epidemiologist. By looking at our own population and seeing what the impact of the vaccines have been on the population, we're hoping just to be able to reach people here in Texas and show them the difference that being fully vaccinated can make in their lives and for their communities. The State Health Department study covers most of the positive cases of COVID-19 deaths reported in Texas among residents from January 15th to October 1st. It's the first time the state officials have been able to statistically measure the true impact of the vaccine on the pandemic in Texas, which has one of the highest death tolls in the nation. The majority of Texans aged 16 and up didn't become eligible for the vaccine until late March. State health officials also found the vaccine greatly reduced the risk of virus transmission, including the highly contagious Delta variant that ravaged the state over the summer. Only 3% of the 1.5 million positive COVID-19 tests examined since mid-January occurred in people who were already vaccinated. We've known for a while that the vaccines were going to have a protective effect on a large segment of our population, said Dr. Jennifer Shuford, state epidemiologist, by looking at our own population and seeing the impact. Okay, looks like they repeated themselves. Wow, man, some of these articles, they're just not doing a good job at editing. Okay, the State Health Department study covers most of the positive. Okay. Here it is again. Okay. Okay, the study was done using data similar to those used by other states that conducted similar studies and methods recommended by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, she said. And while the outcome was not particularly surprising, officials hope that the new data will increase trust in the benefits of the shot. Texas is a unique place. It's got lots of diversity, geographic and population-wise, Shiford said. We know that some people want to see actual numbers and that they want to see it for their own community. And so we're hoping that this reaches some of those people who have been hesitant and really just questioning the benefits of the vaccine. In Texas, it literally required a disaster like a pandemic before the state records precise information about vaccinations. As a result, there's a record for every single COVID vaccine dose of the name and age of the person who received it, plus the date it was administered. Normally, vaccination records are shown to schools by parents, but details of all vaccinations are not regularly kept by a state registry in Texas, unlike nearly every other state because it's a voluntary system. However, state officials still don't have official numbers on how many vaccinated people were hospitalized with COVID-19 because hospitals are not required to report that level of data under the state law. But the state's largest hospital districts in the county have reported that at least 90% of the hospitalized Texans with the virus were unvaccinated. The state's new health data comes as Republican state leaders grapple with local cities and school districts about masking, which has been proven to reduce the transmission of the virus, and with federal officials over vaccine mandates. About 53% of the Texas population is fully vaccinated. More than 70,000 Texans have died from COVID-19 since the pandemic began. Immunity heading into the holidays. The new report is particularly well-timed, officials say, because the gatherings throughout the holiday season could touch off another surge as families get together, many of them for the first time since last year. And around 9 million Texans remain unvaccinated. Texas saw its deadliest surge of the pandemic in January, when more than 400 deaths were reported daily at its peak. A trend health officials said was likely a direct result of the holidays. The recent Texas Coronavirus Antibody Response Survey commissioned by the state's health department in partnership with the University of Texas system estimated that about 75% of Texans and roughly 22 million people likely have some level of protection against the virus, either by natural immunity or being infected through vaccination. From being infected or through vaccination. Excuse me. Okay. But that does not mean infected people are immune indefinitely, or that they shouldn't get the vaccine. Health experts say that, in fact, doctors, scientists, and health officials urge those who have been infected to get vaccinated anyway, saying the vaccine provides a strong boost in their immunity, even to those who have had some level of natural protection. And there is a percentage, I read a study that said that the percentage was even higher for people who have already been infected, who have antibodies in their system. Their protection level is higher. They have a higher percentage than those of us who have not been infected. We have a level of protection against it, but theirs is far greater than ours. So it benefits them even more. If they got the first variant but didn't get the Delta variant, and then they get the shot, they're even more protected than the average person who has not been infected again. Okay, the Texas CARE study found that fully vaccinated participants showed significantly higher antibodies levels than those who were unvaccinated but had been infected. Like I said, a week ago, the CDC found that while both vaccination and natural infection provides about 6 months of protection from infection by the virus, the vaccine provides a higher, more robust, and more consistent level of immunity than the natural infection does. And while the fact that a solid majority of Texans are estimated to have some protection for the virus bodes well for the state in its fight against the pandemic, Shuford said, it still means that millions of Texans are vulnerable to severe illness or death from the highly contagious virus without any vaccine or natural immunity. Those susceptible populations can still get infected, and the holidays are the perfect time for that, she said. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, these are all times that people gather together, and COVID-19 can easily be transmitted at these gatherings. Okay. So then you have, the credits and whatnot down there. Okay, I got one more story. And basically, this is another one that basically says the Texans are 40 times as likely to die of COVID as those fully vaccinated in 2021. So I will provide links for both of those stories, and I'll keep working to try to get you guys more stories and more data so that you can go through it and check it out yourself. Please, like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I appreciate all my subscribers. Still trying to get up there to my 1,000. I'm close, but not close enough. If I can get some of these 26,000 views to go ahead and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. Thank you guys again, and I will see you next time.
You are listening to Abuki Cabal, the analytical savage.
I feel like a motherless child.